Once again, I am Dr. Majumdar, working as Professor and Director of Noida Institute of Engineering and Technology, Pharmacy Institute, Greater Noida. Today, we will be studying on the various pharmaceutical marketing channels and the ways by which we have to select them. That is the criteria which we need to follow whenever we are going for selection of a pharmaceutical marketing channel, which the people, the students who are joining this marketing team at the completion of the B.Pharm program, all of them will be mainly initially for the few days they will be working in sales or in the product management team. Now, the people who are working in the sales unit, they will have to take care of the various marketing channels. Now, they will be involved in the process of designing the marketing channels, the way, what are the process we use for selection of the channel members, who are the channel members which are commonly used. Now, first of all, marketing channels. Marketing channels basically are a set of interdependent organizations involved in the process of making the products or service available to the end user for consumptions. That is, they are basically a organization which are involved to make the product reaching the final end user or the patients. So, they are a set of pathways a product needs to follow after the production is over. That is, whenever your tablet has been produced, whenever your capsule has been produced, whenever your injectable has been produced, it should reach the final end user. Who are your end user? The patients. Now, the route they follow, for the items to reach from the initial stage of production to the final stage for the patients, that is the retail shops, that is what we are calling as channels of distribution. Let us see what are the importance of these channels. The first important function is the decision about marketing channels are the most critical management decision, because if a decision is wrong, if the channel is inappropriately selected, so automatically it will lead to a disruption in the flow of your goods. If there is a disruption in the flow of your goods, automatically the customers or the patients will not be reaching or not be getting the items which you have manufactured. That will lead to a loss of revenue, that will lead to the migration of your loyal customer from your product to some other product. So, entire expenditure which you have incurred for your production, for your quality control, for your research and development, everything will go in vain, because you will not be in a position to reap the benefits of your products, because your products will not be sold. Unless your product is sold, you will not get the revenue. Unless you are getting the revenue, automatically the return on investment will be practically zero. Therefore, it is one of the primary key decisions to set up a marketing channel properly. They just not serve the market, in fact, they make the market, they prepare the customer base. If your retailers are proper, they will educate the buyers who will be coming to their shop to purchase. The motivation this retailers gives, the convincement which this retailers gives to the end user, that will help you to build the customer base. The channels often affects all other marketing decisions. Channels is having a very good bargaining power. Sometimes you will find that a company may go for a product penetration strategy, but due to the pressure, due to the convincement from the channel of distribution to follow a marketing scheming strategy, a company has changed their marketing process, marketing decision. The firm sales depends upon the training and motivation of these dealers. More motivated a dealer is, more motivated a retailer is, automatically your product will be sold more. Now, as I have told you in a previous class, the channel of distribution can be a zero level, where the manufacturer directly catering to the customers. It can be a one level process, where the manufacturer going to the retailer finally serving the customers. It can be two level, where the manufacturer is giving initially to the wholesalers who are purchasing in bulk, then they are distributing it to a number of retailers, and those retailers they are serving, they are servicing, they are sending their items to the customers. And the next is the three level process, where the manufacturer gives to the wholesaler gives to the jobber gives to the retailer gives to the customer. So, it is a here the number of intermediaries are 3. Here the number of intermediaries are 2, here the number of intermediaries are 1, here there is practically no intermediate. So, you are calling it as a zero level channel of distribution. Intermediaries are basically the middleman and signify those individuals in the channel that either take the title of to take the goods and sell at a profit. They are directly involved in the process of flow of goods from the manufacturer to the customers. That is what we mean by the term intermediary. That is, they are basically the middleman who signifies the role. Their main purpose is to take the title of the goods and sell it at a reasonable profit. Now, we are coming to the types of intermediaries. The types of intermediaries may be a merchant middleman, it may be a wholesalers, it may be a retailers. On the other hand, there is another terminology which all of you will be coming across, what we are calling as agents. Agents again can be divided into a number of subcategories depending on the way they are taking the product, the way they are selling the product. All of you have heard across the term broker. I will be explaining each individually. Brokers, commission agents, selling agents, factors, clearing agent and auctioneer. These are the various kinds of agents who play a leading role in fact to transfer the item. First is the wholesalers. We are starting one by one. The first is the wholesalers. The function of a wholesaler is assembling and buying. Number 1, they are purchasing from the organization. Say Cadila is producing particular tablets. They are purchasing those tablets in bulk, they are assembling them. The next function is warehousing. Today they are purchasing, it is not necessary that they will be sending the product today itself. They may require to keep the products under their custody for a certain period of time before they are giving it to the retailers. The next function is transporting. That is, the product needs to be transported from their places of storage to the retailers. There are various modes of transportation which I will be coming on later on. Either it may be a truck, or it may be a rail, or it may be in the form of air. with their own advantages and disadvantages. The next function is financing or giving credit. It is not that a retailer who is taking the item from him today, he will give 100% payment today. There may be a time gap which we are calling as providing credit. Next is bearing the risk. Risk bearing is another important function for the wholesalers. The other functions are grading, packaging, dispensing and selling and providing the market informations. These are the various functions which a wholesaler needs to pay, or generally the functions. Now, question is, what are the service of the wholesalers? See, they are acting as a middleman. Middleman means they are taking the items from the company, they are providing the service to the retailers. So, they have twofold of service. One, the service which they are offering to the company. Two, the service they are offering to the retailers below. So, let us study both separately. First, study to the service which they provide to the manufacturers. Number one, economies of scale. Two, saving in time and trouble. The company need not have to bother of how to get their product disbursed. Better use of capital is a third service which a wholesaler provides, and finally, price stabilization. These are the four major functions which they provide to the manufacturers. Next is, what are the services they provide to the retailers? What are their contribution to the retailers? First, it creates a saving of cost and time. The retailers do not have to go to the company to collect the product. So, automatically it saves their time, and in an industry, time is as good as money. Economy in transport and packaging, because it is the wholesaler who is doing it on their own behalf. How many items you require, depending on your capacity, depending on your load, the wholesalers are packing in suitable groups and then they are transporting you. So, the second service which a wholesaler provides to a retailer is economy in transportation and packaging. Better use of limited factors and information regarding the product as a form of an expert. Whatever product features they require, the wholesaler is providing the guidelines to the retailers. Question is, what is retailing? Retailing includes all activities directly related to the sales of goods and services to their ultimate customers for either personal or non-personal use. It may be an industrial goods, it may be a domestic goods. So, retailers, or to be very frank, in terms of retailing, includes all the activities directly related to the sales of goods and services to the final end users. What are their functions? Their functions are buying and assembling the product, warehousing, selling to the final customers, grading and packaging, financing and advertising or promoting the product to the end users. Now, let us see what are the services which a retailer produced to the level above. Who is the level above? The level above is nothing but the wholesalers. What are the services they provide to the people in the below? People in the below means to the final customers. To the manufacturers and wholesalers, it is a big opportunity. They do not have to think about the customer. See, the retailers are taking the roles. The retailers are providing them the support to get their product distributed across the proper network. So, it is a big opportunity, a big relief. It helps them to percolate the information to the end users, because the customers are in direct contact with the retailers. So, the retailers are providing them with all sorts of information about the product. It reduces the risk of loss. Say for example, you are transporting one item from your production unit at Bangalore and it is coming to Greater Noida. It may so happen that the product may be lost in the transit. But as because these intermediaries are involved, so the traceability becomes very good. For the wholesalers or the manufacturers, they do not have to think of the loss. It reduces the risk of loss. What are the services they provide to the customers? They provide a wide range of items in their outlets. So, the customer gets an opportunity to select from them. So, the largest choice, relief from storage. The customers need not have to store the items in their house for long. Whenever they require, they can go to the shop and get it purchased. Extra service or after sale service is another important factors, another important features which the retailer produces to the customers. And finally, the retailers are having all the information about the product, all the promotional features about the product. They teach, they act as a sort of a mentor for the customers how to use the products. So, complete supply of information the customers get from the retailers. What are the various other types of middlemen which are present? One is the commission agent, broker and auctioneer. Who is the commission agent? They are involved in selling of goods on behalf of the sellers. Warehousing, grading, packaging, assembling, disposal, they are all done by the commission agent. The entire series of activities, warehousing, grading, packaging, assembling, disposal, they are all the major functions which a commission agent does. And in return, whatever be the amount of sale made, they are getting a certain percentage of money as their commission, and from that only the name commission agent comes into picture. So, automatically, as because the amount which they will receive depend on how much sales revenue they earn, because they will be getting a certain proportion. So, automatically there is a constant endeavor on them. They constantly try to make more and more sales. So, they are involved in the selling of the goods on behalf of the seller. Next is the broker. Ownership, not the possession. They take the ownership, but they do not take the possession of the items. Their only role is just to bring the two groups closer, that is the buyers and the sellers, in contact with each other. They negotiate with the process of purchasing and selling activities on behalf of the buyers and sellers. A very common example you have seen whenever you are selling the flats. What does the broker do? Do they purchase the flat? No. They are bringing the owner of the flat and the one who wants to purchase. Their role is just a sort of a linking. And when the deed has been finalized, when the purchase has been over, they get a suitable amount of commission. Exactly in the same way in the various business. So, they get a certain proportion of the commission for every business transaction they carry out. Next is the auctioneers. You have heard the name of auction. Let us see how it takes place. They sell goods on behalf of the party by auctioning. What they basically do is, they collect the goods from the seller, they invite bids from the buyers. All buyers, they start getting their quotes. They try to tell that this is the amount of money which I will be giving for this particular item. And one who is quoting the maximum bid, they get the product or they purchase the product, or the product is handed over to that individual who is producing the highest bid. So, auctioneer's role is they collect the goods from the seller, invites bid from the buyers, and the buyers who make the highest bid, they are supposed to get the product of their choice. A quick comparison of the retailers and the wholesalers. Wholesalers, intermediaries between manufacturers and retailers. On the other hand, retailers between the wholesalers and the customers. Wholesalers mainly deals with large scale business, retailers deals with small scale business. Location of such shops does not affect the sales. Wholesaler, wherever he is located, it has hardly any effect on the sales, because customers need not go to the wholesalers, but the location of shop, the location of the retailers is of utmost priority, because the customer has to go there. Window display not required in case of wholesalers, whereas window display is essential to attract the customers. A very proper illuminated display should be there. The wholesalers not entrusted with the responsibility to produce after sale service, but in case of after sale service is a must for the retailers in order to gain reputation, in order to get the confidence. But the wholesalers has to invest more money, because the quantum of item is more. Retailers, the amount of capital required is less. In case of wholesaler, there is no direct contact with the customer, but in case of retailer, there is a one-to-one contact. So, the customers are always in touch with the retailers. In case of wholesaler, they are having a high turnover and sell for a very limited or a low profit, whereas in the case of retailers, the investment is less, but they sell it as a higher profit margin. Now, let us see what are the factors which affects the selection of a channel. The factors are product, market factors, environmental factors, institutional factors, and unit factors. These are the basic factors which governs, which influences the selection of an appropriate channel. Product nature, whether the product is simple or complex, that is the technical nature of the product. The length of the product line, how many products are there, the market position or the market reputation of the manufacturers, all these are coming under the product features. Next is the market forces, the existing market structure, the nature of the purchase deliberations, availability of the channels, and the competition which exists among the channel members. They are all the factors which are coming under the market force. Next is the institutional factors. The first is the finance, the financial strength, the financial ability of the channel members, the promotional ability of the channel member, and above all after sale service. These are we are considered under institutional factors. Unit factors, the company's financial position, the extent of market control desired, the reputation of the company, and the marketing policies of the company. These all factors are considered under unit factors. So, the factors governing the choice of inventory are the economic factors, the legal restriction, the fiscal policy, the financial position, and the facilities available. Now, whenever we are selecting the channel of distribution, we should see that whether the channel of distribution is strong enough to cater to the need of the buyers. That is, the number of units that particular channel allows the customer to buy at a particular point of time, whether they are having a sufficient amount of inventory. The average time customers of that channel has to wait, which we are calling as a waiting period, in order to receive the goods. See, if the waiting period is large, the reputation of the channel of distribution falls. There is a possibility that the customer may shift, so the waiting time should be less. Extent to which the marketing channel facilitate the customer to obtain the product, whether they are producing the credit, whether they are giving the home delivery, these all attributes need to be taken care of. What are the varieties which are produced by the channels? What are the various add-on service like credit, delivery, installation, repairs, they are provided by the channel of distribution. All these factors are considered whenever we are analyzing in terms of the customer needs. Establishing objectives and constraints, the product, price, promotion, distribution, all these objectives sum up to what we are calling as the general marketing objectives and strategy, which ultimately leads to the firm's overall objectives. Then we have to evaluate each channel members, the type of available intermediaries, the number of intermediaries needed, and then we have to, after deciding the types and the number, then we have to decide what should be the terms and conditions, what should be the responsibilities of each of the channel members. And finally, after deciding all these parameters, we have to decide whether we will go for an exclusive distribution, or we will go for a selective distribution, or we will finally opt for an intensive distribution. And the companies can access each alternatives against the suitable economic, control and adaptive criteria. The firm should verify whether its own sales force will create more sales and estimate the cost of selling. See, whenever a channel of distribution is selected, money is involved. So, they will have to see that whether it is not possible by their own sales force. So, they will have a a sort of a balance between the benefits what they get and the expenditure what they made. In deciding the manager, the marketing manager, you need to choose that appropriate channel structure that would offer you the maximum desirable effectiveness at the minimum possible cost. This is very important. It is the intuition of the marketing manager, it is the decision of the marketing manager who has to decide the optimum channel where the effectiveness and the cost should be optimized. With this, I am coming to the end of the class today.